truth and love, and I find those things in God alone.
I'll start off by saying I am not prepared at all for this. All I did was say yes. Sure, I'll come in and do a Lent talk, but I have no idea what I'm doing. So this right now, I'm letting the Holy Spirit just do it. I'm here as a body, but the Holy Spirit's going to guide me. So can I just start off by saying that?
I think we're going to be safe if that's the way it's going to work. We're going to be okay.
I'm hoping.
Okay, good. Everyone, this is Brad Duca. And
Hello.
Brad, you have a familiar last name. And explain a little bit about what you do.
Yes. So I'm a funeral director. So I think everyone knows to an extent a little bit about funerals and what I would do with that. And I won't really go into details, but, I have a family business that I'm third generation, and it wasn't necessarily even something that I had to go into. I feel more I was called to serve in that profession.
You grew up with it. And so, you're saying you had a choice, whether
Absolutely.
Your dad gave you a choice. Now, some of the skills that you naturally possess, I think would seem to fit in well. You're a people person.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
So being with these families when they really need someone to talk to, you're right there for them.
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I just find that role mainly what we do is help and guide. And that's truly why I feel like I'm called there, and I have the ability to be able to help and guide folks through that. And I'm sure being raised around the business and just everything, listening to my dad over the years, and has really helped me, I think, with that. But I think it's more than that even. I think it's more of a calling. You have to be the right type of person.
Yeah. Well, okay, so you've been involved at Almost for a few years now, and pretty heavily. Can you tell me all that you're doing, which is a lot?
Yes. So currently I'm leading for the second time the Youth Alpha, which we are mainly doing in person. I know the adult one has been all online. We've had to do online weeks to weeks, but we have it so small and that we're able to really meet in person. We just use every bit of guidelines that we can, but especially for the high school kids, I think it's really important to do it in person if we're able to.
So how did you actually get involved in helping high school students?
Well, I first started off, actually, my wife and I, Tanya is my wife's name. We were asked to help out in the nursery a little bit over at the church. And then somewhere along the line, it was probably Father Mark, or I'm going to guess, came up and said, "Hey, we're starting this new thing, this core team, this life team. You want to help out?" Yes, sure. Had to think for a second, but, tried to say the yes. And and that was about 3-4 years ago. And it's just kind of progressed through then. I've been a part of different programs, including Life Teen, Youth Alpha, some of the confirmation retreats. And I really feel like I've just found my calling in the church with youth ministry. I just think it's so important in the high school age to really have a solid program for them.
You're young, and be able to connect with them, I think, helps. And you are comfortable around them. They seem to be comfortable around you, correct? You have this connection.
Just in the last year, I started feeling a little bit older, but and luckily, our team of youth ministers we have here is wonderful. We have from age 20 to 60 helping, or maybe more. We just have such a broad range of people helping with the youth, and I think every person brings a story and something to the table, no matter their age.
So did you feel that you felt you had this calling after trying it out a little bit? You didn't go in saying, "Oh yeah, I was made to do youth ministry."
Well, actually, during after my 4 years in college, I was in mortuary school. I actually had an opportunity to help out with a summer camp. And I helped out. It was like a youth, like a Christian summer camp, and I helped out for a week. But then I didn't quite realize how impactful that would be. But it was something I really enjoyed. So when Father Mark had asked, would you be interested in this youth ministry here? There's a leader, and they'll let you know what to do. And I said, okay, I'm not sure if I know what to do, but I'd love to help out. So I really didn't know where it would progress to the last few years, and that's like one of my main ministries here.
I would say, yeah, absolutely. The other interesting thing is that you're involved in our tech as well, and that's because COVID hit,
Yes.
and your business, you had to pivot in a certain way, correct?
Yeah. So, in the beginning stages of the COVID pandemic in our area, when everything shut down, it was really difficult for families to be able to just celebrate and honor and just memorialize their loved ones. So I was trying to find more ways to be able to do that. So I started using a little bit of Facebook Live, and Kevin was here with Father Mark, and they were trying to find ways, and you were
to do
here.
the same thing.
And we did. I remember you were there. We did Stations of the Cross, Facebook Live. I mean, with all this technology that we have around our Mother of Sorrows right now, it has truly grown so much since that first
just a year ago
couple phones that we were trying to get the right shot and following Father Mark around for stations or whatever we could do. But it's really awesome, I think, just how much we've grown in that. So yeah, I help out with the live streaming in church, which I think is so important, because when we weren't able to be here, I know we've been open now, still limited capacity, that was so meaningful once we were able to start getting mass to people. I mean, there's different sources, but having your community, I think, like our community that we're used to, and just all, like everyone that it's so much different than watching maybe a mass in another state. And I watch different masses. I mean, I watch Father Mike Schmitz and all different kind of ones, and I've watched some of the dioceses. But it's different when you can see our Mother of Sorrows, because there's just something more meaningful here. And I've heard so many people now say, people that normally don't come to church or haven't in their life, they started watching live stream. And that's what I think is a really cool part of this ministry, because that's something that can be forever. I mean, that's not just COVID oriented. I mean, there's people, and even vacation. I mean, you go on vacation, and I love to go to even different churches. I'll visit, go to Florida occasionally, different places, and I've started trying to find churches. Now, this was before COVID, but it's still neat that I can just pop on my phone and feel like I'm right here.
Exactly.
Even though I might be 1,000 miles away. So I just think it's such a cool thing to have for the future.
Right. In fact, I've read where the term can be, it's like our vestibule. It's somebody who wants to kind of take a peek in, see what's going on, and they're free to go if they want or stick around. So I think it'll always be here too. So your interest in technology, because you do have like a little bit of an interest in it, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm an IT person, but I mean, I did grow up in a time, it's not like today with, I didn't have iPad when I was a kid, but I mean, we had basic computers, and we were taught, basic things in Word and Office, and, the iPhones came out when I guess I got my one when I was in college. So, I was still on the technology boom growing up a little bit. Definitely. I mean, we have a 7-year-old, and I think he's better on an iPad than I am. But so I think the next generation will even be smarter with all this. But just learning, it's not very hard. Once you get used to it, it gets easier. I mean, yes.
So let's work our way backwards a little bit. I mean, you actually grew up at Omos. You went to school here, correct?
Correct. So, yeah, I went to our Mother of Sorrows for grade school, and then I went to Westmont Hilltop for high school. I live pretty close to the high school, so I could walk there if chose. Typically, my mom drove me, though, still to the one back way, so I didn't have to walk too far. But, yeah, and I loved being at Westmont. I loved my time there, but I always appreciated my foundation at Our Mother of Sorrows. And the church itself, that was always, I think, one of the most important things looking back on it, being able to come to Mass at school and being able to pray at school. That was very key, I think, in my whole foundation, and even being where I am right now. I was an altar server. I really enjoyed that. And I have to say, I have to give a shout to my grandma Grace up in heaven, but she was always that pusher to say, like, go to church, you got to do this, and you're so great in church, and her uncle or her brother was a priest, and she was like, I think you could do that one day, and I was like, no, I don't think, Grandma. But it's funny, now 20 years later, I kind of found my own calling within that. I didn't necessarily have to be, a priest, but I can still be a part of the whole church family and have a role in it. And I really give a lot of credit to her on that.
I remember her. I remember sitting in the pew. I can still picture her that way.
Probably about 4'9".
Yeah, exactly. I know. Cute little thing. So anyway, but there must have been a time, like some of us do, we step away from church. I mean, college years weren't always so good for me, but
yeah, so that's mainly too why I love helping out the high school age, because in high school, church wasn't my first priority. I mean, I always had that base and I always knew God and I had that rock, but he wasn't my priority in high school. And in college, that even gets harder. You go through things in high school and college, and maybe, pain or loss and things like that. And it's all tough. And I just wish, I think now, like what I know now, I wish I would have known 10 years ago or more, because I think it would have really helped me make it through things easier or quicker. And so when I do, it wasn't until I came, it was after college, and I started dating my current wife now, and we were engaged, and we went to a few different churches. She wasn't Catholic at the time, and so I was open to go anywhere, but we found ourselves coming to Our Mother Sorrows a lot. And she came to me and said, what do you think about me becoming Catholic? And I said, that's a decision you have to make. I don't want to make that for you. And she's like, well, we really enjoy coming here, and we're coming here a lot, and I really like it, and I think I'd like to be a part. So her deciding that actually, I think, really helped me in my journey too, because she had to do RCIA and these things. And the big one is, as everyone says, I'll come to it. Father Mark was like, Tanya, you should really do the Alpha course. And Brad, well, since she has to do that, you should just do it with her. So I was like, okay, I heard about Alpha, but I didn't make the time for it. But that kind of pushed me to go do it and completely changed everything. I think that's really Alpha was the beginning of my next journey. Learning about the Holy Spirit, this whole other person that I never knew about, besides Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. I learned that, and that's what I've been enjoying running Youth Alpha, because Alpha was such an important part in my journey. And that's kind of how I got into, I think, further ministries here.
Yeah, it does seem to play a role in a turning point in people's lives, and
very powerful.
Very powerful. Yet, you can show up and just be yourself and not worry about things. You don't have to prepare. You don't have to just show up. And we say that all the time.
That's what I did here today.
Yeah,
I am not prepared at all, but I'm here.
Yeah, exactly. And you trust that the process is going to work, because if we're talking about faith and what we do for the church, God's going to provide the words, and I feel that he did that this morning with us. So I think that's great.
Absolutely. Yeah. And, I would just like to say, even when I've been starting Youth Alphas, that's something that I tell everyone on the first day. Like, when you come here, be yourself. We're going to go into small groups. Say what you think. Ask the questions, because I can almost guarantee you at least 95% of the people in that room have that same exact question. And if you don't ask it, no one may ask it. And we'll all grow together if we work together and share together and really be ourselves. Don't give me the answer, especially with high school kids, as you know, you've done a lot of, I think, religious ed in your life. Don't give me the answer that you think I want to hear.
The textbook answer.
Like, please, I do not want that. I want to know what you're thinking. And that's what I think is a really neat part of Alpha is it's truly bringing yourself there to grow.
Yeah. See why he can connect to the kids? I think that, I almost started, I was going to answer the question. You make people feel comfortable around you. And I think, luckily, you say yes when somebody asks you to do something, because we're all fortunate for that. And
well, the more I say yes, honestly, the more great things happen around church. I always joke there's a movie called Yes Man, but I feel like it's been based, if you've ever seen it, but I feel like to an extent that whole meaning should have been based on the church, because when you say yes in the church, just great things happen in life, and they keep happening, and it's a very exciting time.
So that's like the basis of the whole series now, is just say yes and not really be prepared of what you're getting yourself into.
The Holy Spirit will take care of it.
Yes, it will.
I know. I'm confident Jesus will guide you. He's a helper.
Good testimony, Brad. Thank you for being with us.
And thank you, Anne. Okay. Thank you for this. I was at first I was a little nervous, but like I said, I knew the Holy Spirit would be here with us, and I appreciate your time in doing all these talks. So
it's our pleasure. Adamos. Thank you.
All right. See you.
All I need is truth and love, and I find those things in